All right, hi guys. So this is the first of two videos that I'm going to post that will go over what you guys are going to be doing for your color worksheets that I dropped off yesterday. So a lot of you have finished your color wheel. If you haven't yet, that's okay. You have until the end of this week to get it done. And yesterday I dropped off some color worksheets. Now I already did a little bit of painting on one of mine to show you kind of what it would look like for the start. But it should look like this without these painted in, obviously. So we have our primary colors and secondary colors, which we talked about a little bit already. And then we're going to talk about warm and cool colors today. And we're also today in this video going to look at our triad colors and complementary colors. We'll look more analogous colors, value, and intensity in the video tomorrow. So don't worry about not having those ones done yet. I am posting it in two separate videos because I want you guys to really be focused on the work and concentrating on what you guys are doing for the first little bit for that video today. So I'm going to start with this to go over some of these definitions up here at the top and kind of explain them a little bit better. So a hue, spelled H-U-E, is another way of saying or asking for the name of a color. So if I asked you for the hue of this pen, you could say that it was black or maybe gray, depending on what you're looking at. Or if I asked you for the hue of this spray bottle, you could tell me that it is pink. So asking for the hue of a color, or if something is talking about different hues, it is just talking about different names of colors. So if something is chromatic, that means that it has a color. So my shirt is red, so it is chromatic. It has a color. My hair is chromatic. It is blue or green, depending on what you're looking at. Even the straw in my drink here is chromatic. It is orange. It has a color. For colors that are white, black, and gray, we actually call them achromatic, which means having no color, which might seem kind of confusing because white, black, and gray are sort of colors in and of themselves. We use them a lot. However, white is actually the reflection of every other color back out. It is not a color in and of itself, and black is the absorption of all color. So it kind of absorbs all the different colors like a sponge, but it doesn't have a specific color that shines out. And gray is just a combination of black and white. So those are known as achromatic. So our primary colors we already talked a little bit about are red, blue, and yellow. And I'm going to show you guys how you're going to paint our secondary colors here. So for the red, blue, and yellow, I painted them just like we did our color worksheet. As you can see, I had a slight mishap with my blue paint there. Our secondary colors we know from our color wheel are purple, orange, and green. So I'm going to write the names or the hues of those colors just down there. And then I'm going to take my paintbrush and just like we showed you for the color wheel, I'm going to paint in those colors. So I'm going to take some purple and I'm going to paint it in my square here super carefully to stay in my square, unlike what happened with my blue up there. And if it gets out a little bit, that's okay. It happens. But just making sure that you're doing your best to paint it as carefully as you can. A little bit more water. So I've got my purple square there. And then I'm going to switch my colors. I'm going to switch colors to orange. Paint my next square orange because that's the order I wrote them in. If you wrote yours in a different order, that's fine. And actually, if you want to paint along with me, that would be really fun. You don't have to just wait until the end of the video to paint your squares and circles and triangles in. You could do it right along in the video with me. So I've got that one painted orange. And if you're still painting, don't worry. You can catch up as we go along. Just make sure you kind of got your listening ears on. I'm going to do green next for this next square. And I'm going to paint that square in green. Get a little bit more water and a little bit more paint there because I have a really light shade of green right now and I want it a little bit darker here. There we go. And I am pulling that extra paint all the way to the edge so that I don't end up with a darker blob of green kind of right in the middle. So next, what we're going to talk about within those colors is warm and cool colors. So these triangles right here, we're going to color in warm colors. A warm color is a color that we associate with fire, warmth, the sun, all sorts of warm things. When you think of those things, you probably think of 3 colors. You probably think of red, orange, and yellow. Those are our 3 warm colors. Red, orange, and yellow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint these colors. So I'm going to paint my first triangle red, just like I have everything else. And it's a little bit trickier to paint in a triangle than it is to paint in the circle and square. So this is also practicing painting and in the lines of where you want to be for each shape. Now, when you're doing your own painting, you might not be necessarily within lines that were already drawn for you. But if you're trying to paint something like a person or an animal, you might want one color to stay kind of in one specific area. I'm going to move on to the orange then, and I'm going to paint this next triangle an orange color. And I'm kind of painting mine a little bit fast. You guys can take a little bit more time with yours. I just want to make sure that this video is not too long of a video for you. So I've got my orange for my warm colors. And then here, my yellow is my last warm color that I'm going to paint on. Just going to paint in my triangle there. Very small brush strokes. I don't want to be going too crazy there. Now the other thing we have to talk about here is cool colors. So a cool color is a color that is associated with kind of more earthy things or with water, with air. So those cool colors are purple, blue, and green, which if you're painting anything that has to do with the earth or with water, that is what you would use. So we've got purple, blue, and green. So I wrote down purple first, so I'm going to paint my purple circle first for my cool color. And you can see as I'm starting to use my paints more and more that it's getting easier and easier for me to get a darker tone with enough water each time because it's picking up more paint on my brush, which you will notice, which is nice. But I don't want to get so much water in these cakes that they get overwhelmed and get kind of soupy and gross, because that is not good either. So I'm going to paint this one blue. Get a little bit more water on my brush. Paint it blue. And I'm going to try and get that other part here to match with the blue as to how dark it is, so I don't have one part that's really lighter than the other. And then this next one here, I'm going to paint green. Nice, careful brush strokes. So I've got my primary colors, my secondary colors, warm colors, and cool colors. And that is what I have for that first one. All right, so the next thing, I know I switched out what I had in front of me. The next thing that we're going to talk about is Triad Colors for our next project. But I'm going to look at my color wheel here for a second. I know it's not quite finished, but a triad of colors is colors that form a triangle on the color wheel. So if I look here, I have orange, and I can draw a line down to purple and up to green and back over to orange, and it makes a triangle. So orange, purple, and green would be triad colors. Similarly, if I do the same for red, I can say red to yellow, and then yellow to blue would make a triangle on my color wheel. You could also do it with the shades in between. Red, purple to blue, green, and blue, green to yellow, orange would be a triad. So you can paint the triads that is right here, any color set that you want. I am going to write in my purple, orange, and my green here though. And then I'm going to do red, blue, and yellow for my other two Triad color sets. So when you paint something with Triad colors, it usually ends up being something that's really bright, really vibrant, that you can see really well, because they kind of make the other colors really stand out. So I've got my purple there. I'm gonna have to be careful here. My purple paint is getting a little bit soupy there, and I don't want that. I'm gonna go in for my green. I'm going to paint that green. I'm going to get a little bit more water on my brush, not too much. A little bit of green. Now I need more paint. So yeah, for this, you guys, you don't have to do the same triad of colors that I did. You are welcome to pick your own. That is perfectly fine. As long as they form a triangle on the color wheel. And then I need orange for my last one. And if you want to practice mixing for these colors that are secondary colors, you can do that. So I've got green, purple, and orange. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint my red, more water, red. Again, painting in a circle is probably going to be a little bit trickier, and that's okay. Red, and like I said, you also might not be painting as fast as me. Also okay. So I've got red. Let me get a little bit more water in my blue. I've got blue. Look at that blue. Oop, I got outside the line a little. That's okay. Got blue, and then I'm going to go for my yellow. And there I have my different Triad colors. For the ones that I picked, like I said, you're welcome to pick your own. And then you guys, we have complementary colors. So the complementary colors, I'm going to switch out from my color wheel really fast. Complementary colors are colors that are directly across from each other in the color wheel. So purple and yellow are right across from each other, and red and green and orange and blue are all right across from each other. Now if I wanted to, I could say red, purple, and yellow, green are across from each other, red, orange, and blue, green, and I could mix it up a little bit like that. For mine, you guys, for complementary colors, I am going to do purple and yellow, red and green, and blue and orange. And just like with our Triad colors, complementary colors are colors that really just make you notice that other color. So if you put purple and yellow right next to each other, you're really going to notice both of the colors really well because they kind of balance each other out, and really just draw attention to each other. I still have some paint on that. There we go. I go to my yellow now. I'm gonna get a little bit more water. Then I'm gonna go for my yellow. And that's what we have for our first set of complementary colors. Our second that I chose to do is going to be red and green. So for those that celebrate Christmas, red and green is a popular color combination, popular complementary color combination that really is associated with that holiday. And then I'm going to go for some green here. Water my green. You'll notice that my water, as I slowly combine all the colors, is turning a grayish brownish color, which is what happens when you mix all the colors together. Because if you remember, black is a color that absorbs all of the colors and it doesn't put a specific color back out. So my water is slowly turning to a grayish black. I'm going to do some blue here. And then finally, I'm going to finish up just a moment. Well, now I've added too much blue. My water is blue. I still have blue in my brush. Oh my, a lot of blue paint. And then I'm going to go with orange. And then that is where I'm going to leave you guys for today for your painting. Starting tomorrow, you will have another video that will go back over analogous colors, value, and intensity. I just didn't want to give you guys too many new terms to start out with today. So you guys can experiment with this on your own and have some fun. And I'll see you in class.